So let's move on and kind of focus on what is coming up, as we have matches to watch and see how that's all going to unfold here as well. Because, I mean, it's actually kind of difficult when I think about like matches to watch, like what it's actually going to be, because as I alluded to earlier, Pig, the skill level across the board on all of these tournaments, never mind our main event, is going to be so close, so strong, so fierce.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very hard to call in a lot of these matches, and personally always hoping for a few upsets here and there. Definitely that is a match to watch. You've got young Clem and Dark. What's so exciting is Dark used to be the bully in this relationship. He bullied him so many times, and recently Clem's actually finally started to beat him semi-consistently.
Who was it who told me that they did an interview with Dark and he was like, these kids are getting too fast,
That's absolutely what I was going to bring up. I mean, there's a lot to bring up in their actual series, but I was able to interview basically all of the Korean players, actually. And Dark was particularly repetitive, I suppose, but like in a good way. I had fun with it, about like his age. And then one of the things that he said was that, well, a lot of the foreigners, the non-Koreans, you know, they're younger than us. Yeah. So, you know, I kind of wish that I was Clem's age again. And then from that, I inferred to, you know, that he was saying like if Dark was 22, he'd be winning literally everything. But because he's 27 or whatever it is. Oh, he's so old. Oh, well, I can't do anything.
I mean, he's already looking great and manly with that facial hair. If he was 22 with that facial hair as well, I'd be like, whoo. He's looking fantastic. But yeah, going up against Clem, that's definitely going to be one to watch. I'm going to say it to tilt Rotty, but Clem doesn't do that well offline sometimes. And then Roddy's watching this and he's going to be mad. And that's going to be great. But and he'll shout at me later on. But yeah, that'll be interesting to watch as a whole. We can actually move on, I believe, though, to what is going to be coming up, because we have technically what is going to be our first match here on the main stage, and it's going to be, of course, our Yeonchoping champion, our multiple-time world champion, Serral, going up against Creator. So that is going to be an exciting match to watch. I suppose when you look at this match, Pig, it's never a question of what form Serral's really on. Sometimes you can say this maybe about Creator, but what are your thoughts coming into this one?
Serral is a master chef, and ZVP is his kitchen. He works in there and he creates masterpieces. Creator has to pull out the cutlery drawer and start just throwing things at Serral. He's going to be trying to catch him off guard. I expect him to sneak a 2-base timing into this series, and it's all going to be about how much he can kind of get up in Serral's face and then disguise what he's doing behind it. The big problem Creator runs into historically against Serral is that Serral is trying to be tricked, and there's a Zergling, and it sees the tech go down, it sees the gateway explosion, and he knows about the attack minutes ahead. Yeah. So he's got to find a way to put Serral on the back foot, obscure what he's up to, and catch him off guard.
Fair, fair. ZG, your thoughts?
It's always borderline impossible to beat Serral in a ZVP. It happens every now and again. I mean, remember when Geralt 2-0'd him, I believe, actually, in one of the online tournaments. So like surprises can happen, but they basically never do. Exactly what Pig was talking about. So you can try to surprise him, you can try and fix things to be like a little bit different, but he's never surprised, or if he is, he has that clutch factor that you know, is something we don't even talk about much more for him, because we talked about that like 4 years ago, and that was proven, and they were like, well, we don't talk about that anymore. But that also happens a lot where he does maybe technically get surprised, but then the Queen micro, the Roach micro, the Ravager Crosa Biles, like everything just comes along perfectly, so that even when Creator's like, I finally did it, just kidding, no, I didn't.
Yeah, I think when you look at this matchup as well, it's kind of tough for Creator, not only because, you know, Creator, I think a lot of people would see Serral as the favorite in general, but also, Pig, let's not mince words about this, Protoss is not having the easiest time right now.
No, they aren't. And this matchup, you know, I feel like there's a bunch of Protoss players like Creator who can do very well versus a lot of the Zerg opposition. I think against Dark, it's a pretty even match, but there's something different in Serral Zerg versus Protoss where it becomes very, very hard. It always feels like the player's doing okay, but you've got a problem with Serral. His late game is fantastic, so you can't just turtle it out. Usually you want to hit some sort of timing attack, and Serral is excellent at biding time, waiting for those Vipers to get out or the Banelings to flank in or something like that.
I have one thing to add that's a data point because it's always so amazing. In the year 2023, so we're quite a long ways into the year 2023, Serral is 30-1 in matches. 96% win record in ZVP. Like, we always bring it up, but I feel like the last time we brought it up, it was like 80%, which is like, but like 96, oh boy. Like, that's crazy. That's almost perfect.
Who's the loss to?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
Oh, yeah. The Geralt series, of course.
I guess, actually, it's Max Pax. I was wrong.
No? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Geralt was last year. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Max Pax did defeat him 2-1. So.
And this is, I would assume, without looking, it is probably just a list of who's when it comes to Protoss, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Showtime Classic, Max Pack, Showtime. Classic.
Sorry, Showtime.
Yes.
Crazy. We have the map vetoes on screen as well. Looks like we'll be going to Gressfan, Dragon Scales, and Babylon if we need it here, Pig. So any thoughts before we get in?
Creator usually doesn't veto altitude. He did in this series because Serral's late game is so scary.
Yeah.
He has a really cool style. He can play with like a Void Ray and 3 Oracles, and he's just kind of controlling the map and really macroing up and very defensive. He doesn't feel as confident playing that against Serral because Serral is quick to read what you're doing, jump up to 85 workers, and beat you in the economic game. So I think Creator is going to be taking more of an aggressive stance, looking to get Serral afraid. If he does want to play a long game, he wants Serral to be overreacting, sitting somewhere in the 50s or 60s in drones for a little while. He can't have Serral jump up to 80, 90 drones and mass ravage a Baneling.
I do find myself always in an interesting headspace, especially when it's Creator going up against someone like a Serral, because Creator, for me, has endeared us quite a lot. Obviously, he kind of wears his heart on his sleeve when he's playing, and you can see that in his losses especially, but you see it in his wins as well when he's very excited about it. So I would like to see Creator cause an upset, but it is very difficult here against Serral.
Yeah, if he wins one game, like if he wins game 1, I guess, right? Like it's gonna be crazy. For
I hope we have a
him.
spare table because he'll be like his celebration will be epic.
Yes, need the spare table ready.
Just Super Saiyan, like, wow, that was awesome. All right, so we're just 1 minute out here from the start of things, Pig. Any final thoughts before we get into this one?
I mean, I'd love to see Creator pop off. We all do. So I really want the series to be close. If it is an upset as well, that's exciting as a Serral fan because you get to see him in a little bit of trouble early on in the bracket, which just makes things all the more exciting.
I mean, by the same premise, though, I mean, if Creator does go down or Serral does go down with this Swiss format, ZG, there's a lot of other opportunities to try and kind of get yourself back on the board and get yourself back on towards the progression of getting to that top 8.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's actually really difficult to think of who would have an easy time, I suppose, in the losers
The lineup's
run,
so good.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But Serral, I guess you would put the the bet on as far as being able to do that if he were to, have an upset happen in the beginning.
All right, well, thank you very much, guys. It is time to get things going here at Gamers8 live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Let's head over to the casters to get Serral and Creator underway.
The sun is blazing, the moon is shining. In a land of heroes, where the stars are rising. Nobody can stop me, I walk through the fire, right here for fame. Who will us the gusts of the storms in the desert, this is not a game. We fight for glory. My night. With every win we ascend a new heights. I'm sharpening my skills and I focus my mind. The power nice in the heart of a lion. A battle with pride is a matter of time. I become the most greatest, the victory's mine. We reach for the cup, and the tension is up. In the city of Riyadh, everybody's getting hot. It's not about luck, it's simple as
Welcome to Riyadh, welcome to G8, and welcome to what promises to be the biggest StarCraft event of the summer.
أعزائي المشاهدين أهلا وسهلا حياكم الله معنا في الرياض في المملكة العربية السعودية في موسم الجيمرز في البطولة اللي ما يقال عنها أكبر بطولة ستاركرافت راح تكون معنا في هذه السنة.
My name is Rachel, and I'm joined by Fancy, and we have so much competition to get to. Not only do we have the Brood War Legends playing for you this week, not only do we have the Legends of StarCraft 2, but today we are going to see our first look at our incredible tournament of StarCraft 2 Pros.
هذا الأسبوع بيكون أسبوع جدا طويل إن شاء الله، بيكون أسبوع جدا ممتع لأنه ما راح يكون عندنا فقط بطولة ستاركرافت، راح أيضا بيكون عندنا الستاركرافت ليجندز راح يلعبون عندنا في البطولة، وبيكون عندنا أيضا منافسات جدا مشيقة مجموعة جوائز فيها راح تكون $500,000 شيء ما قد شاهدناه في عالم ستاركرافت في هذه السنة، راح يكون جدا شيء مميز.
Fancy, there are so many pros here. It's been so fun watching them enjoy themselves these last 2 days as we've been making content that you're going to enjoy all week long.
راح نشوف إن شاء الله كمية كثيرة جدا من المحتوى اللي جاهزين لكم فقط عشان البطولة هذه. 16 لاعب من أنحاء العالم متواجدين عندنا اليوم من أنحاء العالم، يعني تقدر تقول من كوريا، من أوروبا، من شمال أمريكا، من جميع العالم، كلهم متواجدين اليوم فقط عشان يوريكم أفضل ليفل من ستاركرافت قد شاهدناه في التاريخ.
And with so much StarCraft coming at us, we've got to get started right now. So why don't we bring out our first player? Our first player from Team Basilisk, Serral. Hot off a win at ESL Summer, he is one of the winningmost players currently in StarCraft 2, and he's looking to pick up another one to start things off today.
سيرال متواجد عندنا في المسرح من فريق بازلسك، هذا اللاعب اللي يعتبر هو المرشح الأكبر للفوز في البطولة، هذا اللاعب اللي تو جاي من الفوز في الإيس الماسترز اللي فعلا ورانا وش اللي ممكن يقدمه، هو الأول الآن في الإيس برو تور حتى في الليدر بورد، حدث ولا حرج عن هذا اللاعب، لكن خصم السنة هذه ما قد قدم إنجازات كثيرة، لكن بنفس الوقت في السنين الماضية احنا نعرف أنه يعتبر من أكبر الخبراء معنا في ستاركرافت، خلونا نرحب فيه. من فريق أبيدوس كرييتر. كرييتر زي ما احنا تحدثنا عنه هو الآن من أكبر المحترفين في عالم ستاركرافت، من أقدمهم من أكثرهم خبرة، صحيح إنه في السنين الماضية ما شفنا منه إنجازات كبيرة، لكن هو جاي اليوم يبي يعوض عن هذه الإنجازات وراح يقدم لنا أفضل ما عنده قدام سيرال، لأنه في آخر مرة تواجهوا فيها دائما سيرال هو اللي يكون في المقدمة.
Creator absolutely has his work cut out for him with this head-to-head to kick things off today, but nothing would be a better start to this tournament for Creator than picking up a win over Serral.
زي ما احنا عارفين سيرال هو دائما يكون السوبيريور في هذه الماتش اب، لكن كرييتر بيكون عنده شيء مميز في هذا الجيم، انا متاكد خصوصا انه البروتوس ضد الزرق بيكون دائما من المباريات الممتعه جدا ان نتابعها، فخلونا نشوف شو ممكن يصير في هذه المباراه.
Why don't we invite our two players to the center of the stage? Come on and shake hands to get things started.
بالتوفيق لكل هذه اللاعبين، ان شاء الله المباراه راح تكون من اقوى البدايات معنا في هذه البطوله. سيرال صحيح معاه الادفانتج، لكن زي ما سمعنا في الاستديو التحليلي الابسط شيء ما هو ابدا مستبعد انه يحدث في هذه المباراه، فخلونا نشوف شو ممكن يصير وعلى طول نروح لكم مع المعلقين.
You're in for a treat with this first match, so let's send things over to the casters and kick it off.
We are so excited to get things underway here at the Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Gamers8. I'm already joined by Loco, and if this stage and the graphics and the production don't get you excited, then I think a little bit of Serral vs. Creator should. Loco, how are we doing?
I'm doing amazing, man. This tournament is looking absolutely awesome so far. I mean, I love watching these players get on the stage as well. You can sort of get a feel for how confident they are currently, and Serral definitely, walked down that staircase like a champion. I think Creator was maybe a little bit nervous there, but yeah, what a match to get started with. Our first best of 3 is going to be Creator versus Serral, two of the very best players in the world. This should be a banger.
No, absolutely. Serral is dominant, right? Lately, this year especially, he has been so freaking good. It's so exciting to watch him play because you just know going into any tournament, in my eyes, he's the favorite, right? Like, you know, Maru has had some good results. He's won some GSLs, but he hasn't looked as dominant as Serral has. Serral really looks so good. I think the only player to have really beaten him lately is probably Draenor that one time.
Yeah, and the Zerg versus Zergs maybe every once in a while, but especially his Zerg versus Protoss and Zerg versus Terran are legendary.
Yeah, no, his matchups are so good. His ZVP is phenomenal, if not the best in the world, absolutely. So we will see if Creator can put up a fight against Serral, because it's going to be an upward battle here, right? It's absolutely going to be tough for Creator. He's shown great progress in the last year or so. He's given us some amazing matches. I think back to Katowice when he took Dark to 5 games. Serral is just a different beast when it comes to ZVP, though, so it's going to be a challenge for Creator. We'll see if he can make it happen. We'll see if he can get it done. In this first round, I mean, the good news of Creator is, hey, look, you know, you lose here, you've got many more chances. This isn't a GSL-style group or anything like that where it's 2 losses and you're out. You've got 3 losses, right? You get multiple chances to make your way through this bracket. So in my eyes, I think that's the positive for Creator. You know, going with almost nothing to lose here, show some good games, see if you can maybe get an upset against Serral. It's going to be fun, man. Excited.
Looking at these two going head-to-head against each other, historically, Serral has won literally every single time they faced against each other. So it's only happened 5 times in the past, which honestly is a little bit surprising to me. I mean, they've been competing at such a high level for such a long time that I figured they would have faced off against each other a little bit more frequently. But maybe the man over here in the top left-hand corner of Goresven can get it done today. From South Korea, we have Creator.
Down in the bottom right, our blue Zerg player from Basilisk in Finland. It is none other than Serral.
I think you're absolutely right, though, Wordy. Serral, one of the favorites going into this tournament. He's been looking incredibly strong lately, and honestly, as long as he can dodge some of the very best Zergs in the world, he will probably feel pretty good. His ZVP and his ZVT are excellent. I do believe he's the favorite going into this particular match as well, but it's certainly not gonna be an easy one. Now, Serral decided to go for the 15 supply hatchery after the extractor trick. This is something that the Zerg players have been messing around with over the last couple of months, and Serral has been enjoying it quite a bit. The main advantage of going for the extractor trick expansion rather than the 13 supply overlord is that you cannot really get your expansion blocked on most of the maps. So if there is a map with a short rush distance, I believe right now Neo Humanity, for example, you can still get it blocked, even if you do go for the extractor trick first. On most of the maps, it just, well, ensures that you can take the natural expansion easily.
No, exactly, and that's something which Serral is all about, right? Like, make the game as simple as possible for yourself, make it as difficult as possible for your opponent to take advantage of you, which is what the Protoss players try and do when they block that natural hatchery and they force it onto the 3rd location. They're trying to make you, play from a bit further away. Some of their attacks, glaive builds become viable then. For Serral, he will take this hatchery and probably say, cool, you're really already kind of narrowed down to playing a Stargate, which is likely anyways, but now even more so. So for Serral, he's just like, cool, this probably gets me through the early game quite comfortably. I do think Creator coming into this, he's known who his opponent is going to be for a little while. He's got to have prepared a couple of things, right? And he has come in pretty creatively in recent events as well, so that's the one thing I'm looking out for. What does Creator have planned against Serral? Because it can't just be straight up normal. He hits some very nasty timings around 7 minutes sometimes. That's the kind of stuff I think Creator needs to kind of deep dive into here to have a good shot in this first opening match.
Well, we'll find out soon here as his cybernetic score is finishing up right now. He's got a little bit of gas saved up, and normally this is going to be the moment where we will see what sort of tech he wants to go for. That being said, however, he's not gone for the cybernetic score upgrade just yet, so I'm assuming here it will be that Stargate in the main base momentarily. This is the gold standard and something that we've seen many times, although he hasn't actually planted it down yet. He now decides to start up Warp Gate regardless.
That is indeed going to be Warp Gate, and that's a Chrono Boost and a Stalker as well. So we will see. We're past the point where you could cancel Warp Gate to drop down the Stargate. So yeah, something a little bit different here from Creator. Let's see what the tech will be. Maybe you drop down like a Robo-based opening. You go some kind of fun like Disruptor drop or something along those
200
lines.
gas almost. That is not entirely common here. Normally we see that structure planted down, well, maybe 30 seconds ago at this point. He goes for a 3rd gateway unit. Serral right now scouts that 2nd pylon, and he's got to be thinking to himself right now, what in the world is going on? Could this be a quick 3rd Nexus? Where are we taking this game? Because so far, normally we see Protoss players being the ones in charge of the early game of this matchup. They will be the ones harassing the Zerg. And in this particular game, I mean, there's going to be a couple gateway units. We'll see an Adept or two, but he's not going to have that big unit moving across the map, right? Be it like, I don't know, Disruptor drops or even Oracles, right? There's so many different varieties, and it seems to me that Creator is going for none of them. Now it's double Stargate. Okay.
I said he had to come in creative, and that's exactly what he's going to do here with 2 Stargates. So it looks nothing like a Stargate opener, right? From Serral's point of view, because he would have seen a Stargate unit soon. He would have seen probably Warpgate cancelled initially. But now the double Stargate is such an interesting follow-up. This is barely ever done. Sometimes you go double Stargate after, like, maybe you open Twilight Glaives and then you go into Phoenix or so.
Yeah.
This is just going to be straight double Stargate after an extra gate. And a Roadtron right now, absolutely unnecessary. So this is Serral clearly not aware of what's happening, which we know. He hasn't had the scouting. And that's the great thing for this, from Creator's point of view, is that the Roadtron comes down, that's money spent that Serral doesn't need to spend.
Yeah, what do you think he's going to make out of this, though? Because is it going to be... Okay, it's going to be Phoenixes, yeah. I was going to say, maybe he's got something crazy in mind here with Oracles. That could technically be the case here, but it's going to be double Stargate Phoenix. And you already brought it up. Well, the Roach is maybe nice to know when you don't really know exactly what to play against as the Zerg, but in this particular instance, he's not going to get any value out of it.
Yeah, no, exactly. The good news is he's not going to instantly build any roaches. That's just really not necessary. There he is. He is going to build some roaches. So, yeah, every time he's building a unit like this right now, there's going to really just be a little bit of a pain in his side, a pain that he didn't have to spend.
Yeah.
And the couple Spore Crawlers are nice, but the thing is, if you get to 6, 8 Phoenix without being seen, a couple Spore Crawlers don't matter.
Yeah, I think he's making these in case of Dark Templar. He doesn't really know exactly what he's looking for right now. With that forward precision in the natural expansion, I think he's assuming maybe this could be like a proxy Dark Shrine or something along those lines. He's been looking around the map basically everywhere, and he hasn't found it yet. So the main downside though here for Creator is that normally, so now it's spotted, normally these Phoenixes, they're not going to be able to just win you the game right away, right? It's not like you can just swoop in and then kill a bunch of drones and that will, well, cause you to win the game a minute later. You really have to play a longer game with these Phoenix builds. And my main question is this going to actually be value for him? Is he going to be able to find enough value with these units when they show up this late?
Well, that's a great question. I honestly think there should be, but you obviously don't want to lose one. He takes a lot of damage on that first Phoenix already. I honestly felt he almost went a little bit too soon, no? Because the amount of Phoenix he came across the map with, to me, isn't scary. Like, if he came across the map with, say, 8 Phoenix instantly, I know that's a long time to hide it for, but say you manage that, then all of a sudden you're across the map, lifting up a couple queens here and there, and you're knocking down that queen count before any Serral preparation comes to guard.
So he's lost 2 drones. The main tell that these Phoenixes give Serral right here is that he can drone for the foreseeable future. One of the Phoenixes ends up going down here for basically free. Serral is going to sit at a huge economy here very, very soon. I mean, he gets a couple kills, right? And maybe these Zealots can get some magic done, but I honestly highly doubt it. Serral is once again looking comfortable. Now we're even going to see a recall because I guess he's maybe afraid of some of the units sneaking in.
Yeah, this is just going from bad to worse for Creator, right? Nothing's really happened, and that's the problem. He hasn't done anything. He did something a bit weird. That's fine. And then he got nothing done with these Phoenix at all. He got like a couple of drones, if that. Now he's going to maybe catch a roach or two. You know, a few Overlord kills, sure, but these are things which maybe could have happened off of a single Stargate and like one Phoenix or Void Ray, right? So this entire investment into all these Phoenix just hasn't panned out. And now Serral, okay, took some precautions early. That wasn't ideal for him, but now he's just going to go full steam ahead. Melee upgrade, Baneling Nest. He's getting his drone count above 80 as well in the next few moments. These are all things that will allow Serral to be in a very good continuing position going into this next stage of the game.
So, Creator, in order to justify this, needs to kill probably 12 plus drones, and he's gotten not even remotely close. The problem is that these Phoenixes, they fall off the longer that the game goes on, and Serral will be more than happy to play the late game. He's one of the absolute best late game players in all of StarCraft 2, and he has been for many years. There's another Phoenix going down, so he's trying to get damage done. But honestly, at this point, the damage doesn't really matter that much anymore, right? Like getting drone kills 2 minutes ago makes a big difference compared to getting them right now because Serral can very easily replace them. There's a free sentry going down as well. These units weren't even really meant for harassment. He sort of made those defensively earlier because he was afraid of, for example, Dark Templar because he didn't know what he was playing against. And now Serral is getting about as much value with these units as Creator has with his entire build.
Yeah, no, this is, it's rough because these are just, I mean, he's bringing the Phoenix back as well, right? These Phoenix need to be on the map. They need to be still looking for openings, like you said. They've just not paid for themselves, and even if, like, later damage isn't as good as the early damage, it still would be nice to see some amount of damage, and they're just not getting anything done. Serral on his way to Hive and to Spire, he's going to be able to add on a few Corruptors if he feels he needs to help control his Phoenix count. And he's just got everything on the way, right? Bane speed, melee, and missiles. And again, once these are all done, he's just going to be in a fab position where he can kind of do what he wants. And Creator is very stuck just now, kind of transitioning into a more traditional kind of ground-based army. And Serral's already just got so much of the tech that would usually be much more of a struggle to get towards.
This is the type of game, though, that we see most Protoss players trying to avoid. And usually these Phoenix builds, they do lead towards a later game as well, unless you really want to go for a sharp timing attack off of it. So there's a good chance that Creator is feeling pretty confident in his late game right now, and that he's comfortable playing this style against Serral. But all we really know is that most players try to avoid this stage in the game against Serral just because he's very good at, well, simply not dying in the late game, right? He's very good at staying alive and, well, not for that Zergling anyways. I think it got piled by a Ravager there, but yeah, he's very good in playing those late game Zerg spellcasters and all the rest of it. So we'll see if maybe Creator can get something done here because he almost needs to.
Yeah, I mean, this might be the time, right? Greatest Spy on the way if you corrupt us. Things that might not help you find the ground. There's a couple of queens getting picked up immediately. But look at the Zerg force already set to go, and now we're just going to come down this ramp. Serral doesn't care. He's like, oh, you want to fight? Let's take it then. Roaches and Ravage will do their jobs, knocking down the force fields, but we're not going to have enough power just yet. So Creator will be able to keep moving forward for the moment. There's a lot of queens still. They're very tanky, and going up this ramp is going to be extremely difficult. That's where he's put to a stop, and this is exactly where Serral wants to be, because a few moments from now, he's going to have Broodlords available.
Yeah, I think Creator may have missed a warp in as well, because he's sitting on a lot of resources at this point. Eating the corrosive biles also not quite ideal, and even though this trade is definitely not bad for the Protoss, he just doesn't have enough units, right? And the problem here is that this was really the mid-game army here for Serral. It's only gonna get stronger from here. Now the Prism is gonna go down, and with that, this attack will get shut down as well. This game has been Serral from start to finish. I mean, I'm gonna make the assumption here Creator will probably be tapping out pretty soon. I mean, he could stay around for a bit longer, but this is gonna be, well, I was going to say an uphill battle, but this is going to be a mountain.
Creator's a bit of a fighter, so yeah, I think he will stay in it a little bit. He's starting up Void Rays, which is maybe not the craziest idea. An extra Stargate, Fleet Beacon. If Serral truly sat back long enough, this would be an amazing plan, right? Like, just try and get to some Sky Toss and just kind of chill on that. Maybe it's going to give you a good chance, but I think realistically, yes, the timing's already passed. And Serral knows his timings as well. He's the best player in the world, or close to it for some. You know, it's going to be one of those scenarios where he knows now it's time to go. He knows it's time to pull all of his units and just get fighting, because he's wiped the Protoss army, and there's just not realistically a force here for Creator to stand on. So we'll see what he can do. He is getting a bit of an idea of these units coming, but there's already actually units moving down the low ground. Super Battery will pop. It won't last long with the Banelings there. The Roaches get on top of the Immortal and the Archon. The Void Rays are actually maybe the scariest part, because there's no anti-air here. But that's very easily dealt with as Serral just backs away for a little bit. This was another nice catch, resetting the tech count for the most part.
Yeah, the Prismatic Alignment will run out as well momentarily, so I feel like those Corruptors are going to have a much easier time right now since they're not taking that bonus damage anymore. There's another Nexus coming up north. Creator trying to just, get a bit lucky there, right? He needs to get something done here, but it's basically just a planted Nexus defended by one Zealot and a Probe. That's not going to happen as long as Serral gets on top of it in time. And he's going to start the aggression. He's been defending for the first 10 or so minutes of this game, and now he's ready to just start piling on the pressure. These Zerglings are well upgraded as well. I believe they have got Adrenal Glands too, which makes them incredibly powerful against this very early game focused army of Creator.
There's just so much for Serral. Corruptors coming in to help clean out a couple of Void Rays. That was the one scary part that made him back away a couple moments earlier. He's getting the probes, he's getting the base, he's getting the army. The Void Rays even eating a couple corrosive battles. GG's. Serral opens the tournament the way we expect him to.
Excellent game right there. I do like what Creator was trying to do, right? That's trying to throw a curveball there and try to catch Serral off guard, putting down the double Stargate after the Overlord Scout was gone. There was an attempt, but despite the fact that Serral didn't see it coming, initially he only lost 2 drones. I can imagine in practice, Creator did this build a bunch of times and he gets like 24 workers. He's like, guys, this is amazing. I'm going to go ahead and bring this as well to Gamers8, but Serral looking a little bit too solid. Despite the fact that he didn't know exactly what he was playing against, he was prepared for everything.
I just really don't understand the moment he chose to move across the map with the Phoenix the first time.
There were 4 Archons showing up late to this particular fight as well. Like, this fight was going on for like 10-15 seconds, and then 4 Archons came from the left. I wonder what this fight would have looked like if maybe those were... I mean, it probably wouldn't make that big of a difference, but it certainly would have made it look a little bit closer.
Yeah, but no, I just don't understand what the... To me, the build order needed to kind of hit strong when it did hit, and just really felt like the amount of Phoenix he came across the map with just was never terrifying, right? Because it struggled against basic amount of Queens and Spore Crawlers, and it should be at a point of Phoenix where they just don't matter and they can lift up and fight the Queens, and that just wasn't the case. So I think Creator pulled the trigger just a few moments too soon. Serral really just kind of took advantage from there. He defended well, he took advantage when he needed to, and he was just patient as well. He was just like, oh, okay, I'll let you try and dig yourself out of this hole. Meanwhile, Hive Tech, Greatest Spy at 8.5 minutes in the game. He knew exactly what he could do to put himself in a great position, and And Basilisk Serral is up 1-0 here in this triple elimination format, looking to get his first win of 3, which would send him through to the top 8 as well.
There's a good chance that both of these players don't feel quite as comfortable on this stage as they would ordinarily be feeling from home, so it might take Creator a game or two, well, hopefully not a second one, before he gets really comfortable. Serral's one of the few players who I always feel like he powers up when he's at an offline tournament like this. Most players seem to be a little bit worse when they're playing offline, but Serral always looking solid. Either way, game number 2 in this best of 3 series, we find ourselves on Dragon Scales, and spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, we have Creator.
Down in the bottom right, our blue Zerg up 1-0. Serral.
Going for the Extractor Trick opener once again. And this time around, Creator wasn't even sending that probe across the map super early on. Oh, there it is, but yeah. He's not going to be able to get the block off, that's for sure.
That's what I mean, man. For Serral, he's just like, cool. I like this build. It gives me just a safe, standard way to set up. You can't make things a little bit weird. Not that, you know, your hatch being on the 3rd is super weird, because, you know, Zerg players deal with that every single game nowadays.
Yeah.
But this just kind of takes away, you know, because...
Glaive to depths in particular, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, right? It just makes Glaive to depth attack so much harder to do. You can still do them, but then you just really have to hide it super well and everything, whereas with the 3rd base being kind of out of position on the natural on the 3rd base, it's just easy to maybe grab some kills and throw some disruption into play as well. And it just slows the Zerg down that little bit too, so your timing's a little bit scarier, so...
I wonder if the meta is going to turn around at some point where all the Protoss players realize, okay, Serral's going 15 hatch, we're not going to scout anymore super early on with the probe, we'll just send it out when the gateway finishes or after the pylon, for example, gets planted down. And at that point, if Serral doesn't go up against Protoss players that sent the probe right at the very start of the game, I wonder if we're going to see him go for 16 hatches again. I would not be surprised.
Well, you know, that's the thing though, right? Like, Serral's smart enough. Like, maybe in this series he's just going to do every time.
Yeah.
Say he plays like a hero later on today or tomorrow, right in the group stage or in the playoffs. He's so good at switching it up at the right time. Like, he'll do this because it's safe, puts him in a comfortable position. But then, knowing that, you know, someone like Hero might take advantage of that in a series they play later in the tournament, in that series he will then maybe do this once or twice, but then also mix in the other timings, right? So, like, sometimes you're not going to go, and then Serral's just like, cool. I also just went for an 18 hatch this game, so definitely one of the things about Serral, it's very smart. He never just plays a series, he plays a tournament, you know?
Yeah, no, very true. He's not playing the matchup, he's not even playing the map. He's not even necessarily playing the opponent. He knows that his future opponents will be checking out this particular game as well, and they may very well skip that early game probe scout. It's a very small thing, but all the small things in StarCraft 2 do add up. Now this time around it's going to be a standard Stargate opener right here for Creator. He planted it down at the normal time, going for the Warp Gate upgrade for a little bit, then cancelling it. This is definitely something that Serral has seen. So despite the fact that he hasn't spotted the Stargate itself, he must realize that this is 9 times out of 10 going to be a normal Stargate timing, and that usually means it's going to be an Oracle first as well.
Yep, Oracle into... Sometimes actually Creator's one of the guys that builds Void Ray, maybe not first, but Oracle into Void as well.
Yeah.
Like, he does like these kind of builds a lot, so that's a possibility. I wouldn't usually point that out. It's just Creator is one of the few that really does that more regular than others, so maybe we'll see a Void Ray after one Oracle and it's like Oracle, Void, Oracle. But either way, the idea is the same. Going to get a couple Oracles to go harass with. You're going to get maybe the Void Ray or so.
Yeah, I think committing over here is not a bad idea. Link speed is obviously not done yet. 2 drones. Okay, a little bit of panic on the side of Serral. He should have used that shade probably a little bit sooner, but he should get 4 workers. Not bad.
That's actually really good. First year deaths, 4 workers is twice as many as you ever really want to give them, right? So, I mean, not that you want to give away 2, but like 2 is like, it was an okay trade. Like, if they kill the adepts, but now 4? That's very expensive. So Serral's economy does take an early hit, and there's that Void Ray on the way up, so Creator will get rid of all the Overlords, will maintain some map control with that.
Oh, Queen sleeping in the natural.
Yeah, only one Queen in the main base. This Oracle goes for 3, 4 more kills. Good HP left on it. We'll get maybe 1 more over here.
Don't get
2
too
more
greedy.
shots.
Ooh, yeah. Losing that Oracle there would not have been great, but 8 workers in total, I think that's the best you can hope for. We see so many games, specifically against this very normal start, where Serral literally doesn't lose a single worker, so getting 8 drones is fantastic.
No, this is one of the best. The thing is, right, this is for Creator, like, obviously it's game number 2, right? He's down a game, he's got to go, but like, this is the opening where you can win off of, right? This is the sort of damage where you can do things like this. And yeah, Serral was just not ready, and the Lings missed the surround here as well. I feel like they could have attacked and stopped these Adepts already, and then he kind of felt safe enough to start pulling some drones back, and the Adepts just able to nab those couple extra. Really nice.
Yeah, I think Creator, he originally shaded them into the main base, and then halfway up the ramp, he noticed that there was nothing really spotting those units, so he decided to send them back down. So the Lings were waiting inside of the main base. Link speed was not done yet, so it's difficult for the Zerg at that point to reposition. He would have been ready for the Adepts in the main, but they showed up in the natural. So this is a fantastic start right here for Creator. Now, can he capitalize on this, right? Like, that's the main question. Sure, Serral's made a mistake right now in the earlier stages of the game, and he's not going to be happy about it. But he's also not going to sit with that mistake for a very long time. He'll put himself past that very quickly. And Creator is going to have to continue playing this game, because 8 drones alone is not going to win you the match.
No, it's a great start, but then you have to keep on going. And he's going to get a couple more drones. Yeah, dead Oracle, though. Oh, 1 HP, right? That is a very, very lucky Oracle. So it just about stays alive. And that is great then. A couple extra drones again, anything can do to slow Serral down. And that does make some of these timings coming up that little bit more tough for Serral to hold on against.
Now this was wonderful though. Serral losing a few more drones here, but he's getting 4 Adepts in exchange. And I think that's pretty good right here. You hit those Lings initially from the Adept vision. When the Adept is shading forward, they have far less vision in the shade than they do when they're actually in there. So he didn't actually see exactly what was protecting that natural expansion. So cute little move right there by Serral. And he is, well, once more holding down that drone button.
Yeah. No, he is, he's got to, right? He's lost so many drones, he just has to keep droning. But that's what makes the kind of follow-up timings from Creator that little bit more dangerous, because then Serral's been busy building drones, his economy hasn't been in place as quickly as possible. This drone has to be in Evo chamber for a few seconds just to stay alive, and it has been all about Creator. Finally, Serral with a few Lings across the map himself is going to come over and get a single probe. Oracle now over here, stays towards Serral, sees it, he pulls away, just 1 drone caught in that. So again, just a decent job, 2 drones, 1 just spawned, unfortunately. Comes back in again, quick follow-up stasis, but again, Serral is on top of that. Creator was one of the first people to kind of do the double stasis. He did it in the GSL finals against Rogue, where you kind of stasis once, and then you stasis the same place a second time, because the Zerg never thinks to look back, because they've already kind of dealt with the stasis, right?
Yeah.
So those little things were kind of really cool ideas that Creator came up with, and he's been very good at using them ever since.
Yeah, excellent gamer so far by Creator though. Serral also uncharacteristically making 7 Overlords at once. Not something we normally see, so he's definitely feeling the pressure. The follow-up right here from Creator is going to be the +1 together with Blink. This is something that the Protoss players will have a lot of practice with as well. He's sneaking out a 4th Nexus on the left side, and I really don't think there's going to be a whole lot that Serral can do about it. Even more drones end up going down. Let's go, Creator. This is sick.
This Crit is absolutely destroying him in this game, right?
Yeah.
If this was anyone but Serral, we'd be all about Protoss this, Protoss that. How's the Zerg ever going to survive? The only reason we're not is because it's Serral. And Serral does pull ridiculous positions like this one into his favor again oftentimes. So I'm not going to go ahead and say like, yeah, Creator, we got this, but like, it's a great start. Like, this is absolutely the kind of game you're going to win against Serral if you're ever going to win. So yeah, Serral.
When it rains, it pours, right? Like, he has made little mistakes in the earlier stages of the game, and it has been a bit of a disaster ever since for him. I mean, now he finally finds out about that Nexus as it's finishing up. Now, of course, supply-wise, he's still good, but with the Nexus already done, there's not really that much he can do. He was prepared to deal with any sort of Protoss army, and it is going to be coming to his side of the map right now, but Protoss already has a massive economy compared to where they normally would be.
Yes, no, it's just that Zerg economy is not where it's meant to be either, right? Infestation Pit just finishing, but that's not going to add anything to this defense, as the Prism sets around the right-hand side as well. And behind this Creator just techs up Robo Bay, 2nd facility, means he has access through to those disruptors if he wants them. So that's obviously a big factor as well. As that Prism sets up on this right side, there's a built-in hatchery over here you can look to cancel. The Oracles are still just kind of protecting and leading the Stalkers down the left side of Dragon Scales as well.
He will see the hatchery right now. He was originally planning to go to the main base, but I wouldn't be surprised if we'll see a couple of the Zealots charging at that base on the right as well. Are the Stalkers still out on the map? Okay, they've actually decided to go, well, they're roaming a little bit, I guess. They're not ready to go for a big attack just yet, as we have a double Robo Colossus transition.
Yeah, and this has been kind of picking up a little bit of popularity. Remember back in Katowice, Hero loved this, right? Stalkers into Colossi, used it against Serral, had some sick micro, and then it still just didn't even matter that one really epic game that they played. So definitely kind of feel like going into this one right now, it's you look at it and it's still got to feel good for Creator, right? You can't forget about all that early damage, but he's not hitting a timing yet, and Serral's about to hit Hive, and so we're kind of getting to the point where Serral's maxed, he's going to have Hive Tech. What timing can you then hit as Creator? Well, you don't have one anymore. That is a big problem.
Okay, he's dancing on the edge of creep. He knew that his opponent was ready to go for that defense against the Stalker push, so he decided, you know what, I'm just going to continue playing the macro game instead. The problem here for Creator, though, and again, this is an amazing game so far for Protoss, and we're making it sound like this is not a great game for Creator. It's just that the longer that this game goes on, the more chance Serral has to get back into it. And we've seen him win time and time again, even after being very far behind. And at this point, if you look at this game objectively, he's got Hive Tech, he's getting himself Adrenal Glands, Vipers are out, he's got nearly 90 workers, he's maxed. This is definitely a good game right here for Creator, but he needs to not become complacent.
Yeah, no, he really needs to be just a little careful, as he is going to have, again, everything he kind of wants in his army, but honestly, so is Serral. Like, yeah, Serral might not have been harassing, kind of slowing the pros down all game, but we know Serral's very good later on in the game as well, so got to think about these things. This Void Ray from early just finds a couple of Lords too, it's just a cute little moment. And Serral even starting up a Spire to look even later into this game as well.
It's like a random Viking in Zerg versus Terran, just sniping Overlords left, right, and center. He must have gotten quite a few right now. There's a Stasis Ward on top of that high ground, so a couple of those units will be caught. Hallucinated Phoenix trying its very best to work against those Vipers, but that's not going to happen. And there are so many Banelings available. He actually needs to not trade those, I don't think, against all of those Stalkers. Instead, we're going to be going after the mineral line a little bit further up north. Where's the Protoss force? Okay, there it is.
Kind of surprised he didn't trail a couple Banelings behind the mineral line, right?
Yeah.
Just, probes are high in there, send 3 or 4,
That's expensive for Zerg.
Yeah, as we run away, we take a lot of damage, even losing a Viper that's got good energy on it. The Oracles are still chasing as well. Finally, Serral finds the chance to turn around, but Creator is here, and obviously Serral is not actually rebuilt yet. He's still rebuilding, so not all the units are here just yet. The first Banelings, though, do crash in nicely. In fact, the first 4s of Banelings are doing really well. The Colossi are the biggest issue. There's nothing really that can kill those off. No. And that's what we're missing. What's in production? Are we building any Corruptors? That Spire was on the way. I guess it won't be done yet. Now the Banelings just going to dive in anyways. They're going to get rid of 1 Colossus, a few Roaches here as well. There's no way to micro the Colossus. There's no Prism nearby, so only 2 Colossus left. We do just have more Roaches coming out. How have we done it defensively here as Serral? Both players with tons of money in the bank.
I would have loved to see a Warp in the main base right now, or maybe a Warp in on the right side to send some Zealots after some of that Zerg economy. So finally the Prism does show up, but again, we do this with 1,200 minerals or so in the bank here for Creator. He's still starting to break through though.
Yeah, I actually like the warp in with the army though, because he's got so much momentum and now he can keep on going. He can keep the units back. Colossi can deal that damage without being in danger, and that's all he needs. 2 Colossi wailing away on this army. Couple of drones are going down. We're going to warp in an extra group of Zealots, couple of Stalkers, and it just means that this army is never really touchable by pure Roaches, which is all that's being built at this moment in time. The Prisms here as well, so if the Colossi are in trouble, you can micro them up and down as necessary. And this is looking as though Creator is going to even up our series and take us 1-1 for the first series of Gamers8.
Alrighty, I love the patience there from Creator though. I was starting to get a little bit worried because he was taking a 4th base, then a 5th base, and it looked to me like he was ready to play the ultimate late game there. And, well, Serral's very dangerous, but he found an opportunity. He saw that Serral made a mistake by overextending with his army. He lost the Viper. I don't think the Viper's got anything done in this game, and yeah, these 2 Adepts, actually no, it's the ones right before this. But anyways, the Adept harassment together with the Oracles in this game, absolutely superb right there from Creator. And that allowed him to play a game where he felt a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, Serral had an awful early game. At this point as well, look how messed up they are on money. Like, there's so much money on both sides. Serral
there was no
Prism
here with that army for a while. I was wondering if maybe it was sneaking on the right side. Maybe it got sniped earlier. I'm not exactly sure.
If that Prism had been there initially and all 4 Colossi survive as well, this is even more one-sided, right? So, and to be fair, that's kind of where you're meant to get to. When you kill that amount of drones that early in the game, we're just so used to Serral being able to pull it out. And he had a couple good moments. I actually feel like one of his mistakes was when he was on top of that base, he could have gotten some probes if he just sent some Banes behind the mineral line, and that might have been enough just to give him that little edge, slow Creator down, because he lost so many of those Banelings retreating away anyway. He could have found value from them, so that said, it's 1-1. Big matchup here, especially for Creator. Take down Serral early, you get to 1-0, and you gotta be feeling good about yourself going into the rest of these matches.
Yeah, and this was not Creator playing a cheesy game, right? He just played a solid, straightforward macro game. This is about the most standard game of StarCraft you can play against Zerg in the current meta. This is something that Serral's got a lot of practice against, so this is not one of those one-off builds, right? Like what we saw in game number 1. This wasn't a double Stargate Phoenix opener where you're trying to trick your opponent. This was Creator playing a solid game against the #1 Zerg in the world, and he won. So there's got to be a really nice confidence boost as well. Now, is Serral really going to be flustered here, you think?
No, I don't think Serral gets flustered. Very, very rarely, you know. For opening match of the tournament, I think he just looks at this game and says, hey, look, didn't play that great during the early game, right? I lost a lot of drones. This isn't like a game where you have no answer to or anything either, right? Like, this is a game where you look at it and you say, hey, look, I know what happened here. I just need to up my early game defense that little bit. I've done it 1,001 times before, right? do that. Don't lose those drones early. I'm going to control this game. We saw how he did it in the first game, right? So, yeah, I don't think he gets rattled. This is maybe a great time for Creator to really go crazy again. I know crazy didn't work out for him in game 1, but I mean, this is his chance.
Yeah, so again, historically, Creator has never won a series against Serral. He has won a map in the past. We have to go back all the way to 2021, but that is the best scenario for him historically. Either way, the final game of this best of 3, we find ourselves on Babylon. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, it's Creator.
Down in the bottom right, he did get hatchery blocked this game. Notable difference from the previous ones. It is Serral, our blue Zerg from Basilisk.
Trying to play that little trick on his opponent this time around, and Serral does not get the mind game off. Not the start he was hoping for. Certainly not the end of the world, because like you already brought up in the previous game, this is something that Zerg players have played against thousands of times, literally. They play with this particular opener for years now, and even though it's going to be a little bit annoying, you may be a little bit more susceptible, especially to like Lave the Depths and, for example, any of those builds that really require the queens to be together, right? So pretty much all of the builds. Yeah, this is one of those strategies that can be a little bit frustrating for the Zerg to have to deal with, especially when Protoss players first started blocking the natural. A lot of Zergs were a bit confused. I remember we first saw a couple of pool first builds as well to try and counter these sorts of blocks. Eventually, those Zergs found out that taking the third base first is actually beneficial, assuming you do micro everything correctly, but it makes the early game more complex.
Yeah. That's very true. So we have a couple drones going to transfer over there. Link speed starting, and mostly wait to see what Creator wants to start up as well, as he gets his gas spent on the Stargate. And we'll see where he goes from there. He did go Oracle, Void Ray Oracles last time. He actually went up to 3 Oracles after, which is quite expensive to go 4 Stargate units, but he did enough damage that there was no way for Serral to really punish that or anything. So the only thing I would say from that is that was maybe part of the reason he had no follow-up attack for a while, because if you go only kind of like 2 or 3 Stargate units, you can just afford the Twilight a bit faster, get the Blink up a little bit sooner. But
yeah, he could have gone Blink maybe, and just full aggression from there. What we see Hero do a lot, and Mech Specs quite a bit too, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind seeing him play the macro game. It's just that we usually see Serral coming out ahead in those longer games, so whenever it goes past the 10-minute mark, I find myself automatically cheering right here for the Finnish Zerg. But Creator showing us, yeah, no, I actually know how to play that late game just fine, and I even punish my opponent making a mistake. It's not like he necessarily wanted to go for an attack right then and there either, because I think he would have had a Prism with the fight if he wanted to go for the aggression right then. But he saw Serral overextending, he got a Viper for free, and he's like, okay, well, this is when I'm going to pull the trigger. Now, can he get lucky once again? No, not this time around with the first 2 Adepts.
No, Serral is not going to let him do damage like that. It so rarely happens to Serral that to see it like back-to-back games would really be like such a weird coincidence almost.
That would be insane, yeah.
It's just, and that's just the level of Serral in general. Is that 1 Phoenix?
It's 1 Phoenix, yeah, straight into Twilight. So there's no Oracle or anything along those lines. Did Serral make any spores?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, so that's... Okay, he starts up 1 right now in case there would be a sudden Oracle showing up here. So I guess that's technically a little bit of damage done, but...
So
can you really afford going for a Stargate and then kill 1 Overlord and force 1 Spore?
Well, of course, because it's completely about the all-in afterwards, right? Like, it's a fake-out. He's completely pulled out of gas minus 1 worker.
Yep.
So he's just going to go a ton of gateways, a ton of charge lots, Warp Prism, and he just wants to go and kill Serral. Like I said, this is your best opportunity. You've got to 1-1, you just need 1 map.
He needs to fake a 3rd Nexus, though. He needs to fake a 3rd Nexus, and at the very least make the Zerg player think that there is a Nexus coming up. Because if Serral sniffs this out right now, he knows the timing. Okay, the 3rd Nexus should have been down already. Serral cannot overdrone. I actually think 45 drones is the absolute most he can have. Roachborn coming up right now, he needs to make non-stop army and maybe even go for Spines.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. Micro is a big part of this as well, getting your units in the right position, the best position. I think Serral also just should know as well, there's been no Oracles, right?
He's in trouble, yeah. There's not been an Oracle here. This is only 33 probes right here for the Protoss. 8 gate, charge slot all in. This is a banger of a build, very difficult to hold, even when you're sitting at like 42 drones. In this particular case, Serral doesn't know what he's playing against. He even fired up a lair. I think that's a mistake too. He's thinking maybe it could be Dark Templar on the back of this. He doesn't know what he's playing against. I think sitting at 54 workers is too many.
He just keeps making drones as well. Like,
it's too many.
Yeah, he's going to lose an Overlord as well at a bad time.
Now he's going to see it. Now he's going to see what he's playing against roughly, but...
He's supply blocked for a couple moments. Yeah, Overlords are going to be finishing up in a second. The second Overlord's quite a way away, though. This is going to be really rough, man.
Yes. No, I think this is the best case scenario right here for Creator. He needs to go right now, though. He doesn't have a lot of time. If Serral gets to sit on this worker count for a little bit, he needs to go right now. If he sits on his work account for a little bit, his income is going to be massive.
Yeah, no. Creator has to go ASAP, and I mean, he should be going. There's no reason to raid around with this build. Zealot's going to start moving forward. Serral counterattack with a few links. He needs everything over here. He is putting queens in the mineral line on the third base, but I mean, Creator just dives the natural, and there's nothing in the natural.
Yeah, the charge is a little wasted, though. There's a lot more units coming in as well. Serral is just producing as much of an army as possible, and he wants to buy time. Going for spines, lings, roaches, whatever he can produce right now. These units, though, the Zealots, they're getting on top of the Zerg army, and this is exactly the engagement that Creator was hoping for. That being said, though, I think he's a little late.
No, I think Serral's just, I mean, I think running into the natural, I don't think you then turn around and chase to the third base. I think you stay in the natural, and this has kind of been what Serral wants, because he could kite back. He lost a couple queens, but for the most part, he stayed in the mineral line. He is going to lose his Roach Ron. This is obviously not done yet, but Serral surviving for the moment. He's going to come up now. He's going to actually fight in the natural a little bit more. That's a more open area for these Zealots to kind of get surrounded on. Look at that fight to the right
as well, with the Roaches actually tucked between the minerals. This is exactly where Serral wants to be. Dance in the locations where he just doesn't have that much mining going on, right? Like, the longer that this goes on, again, the more income Serral will get, so the bigger his army is going to be. Roach Warren's gone, though, at this point, so that's a little rough, but Zerglings and Queens are not going to be bad here.
Yeah, I'm actually worried about where this Prism's going to warp in, because there's queens that are going to be hot on its tail. I don't think that's a good warping point. I think that's too close. Queens are going to go after it. Maybe the warping goes off. If you lose the Prism after, that's also really bad. This is rough. This is going to be it, because now there's no reinforcing Zealots. It's just these Roaches. The last Roaches that were made because the Roach Ron's gone down, but the Zealot number just isn't quite getting there. Queen's tanking a little bit. You can see the Zealot number dropping, and the Creator is going to get shut down. Serral is going to pull off a ridiculous hold here in game number 3, and I honestly think it's because Creator just kind of went over to the third base.
This is going to haunt him. Yeah, if he checks out this replay after the game, I think this match is going to haunt him, because all he really needed to do was just a tech move. He didn't really need to micro there. He wanted to chase the army, and Serral was like, oh, come play at my third base. And then he decided to run with the queens and, yeah, put the roaches in between the minerals. And eventually, Serral's economy was just a bit too big there. I mean, he did kill a lot of drones, yes, but that was a complete all-in there from Creator. He's trying to play catch-up right now, whereas Serral's on 3 bases. He never even canceled the lair, by the way, so the Roach speed is going to fire up pretty much immediately, too. I think when the Zerg is at, I think, 53, 54 drones, and you're going for a 33, 32 probe all-in as Protoss, the game's pretty much in the bag.
You know, the only thing I'll say is I've seen Serral do this before, right? Like, you know, he's got these moments where he does just have this Roach micro. He knows how to give himself the best possible trades and buy himself the most possible time. It's never a guarantee, but, like, there's always that kind of Serral factor where you have to kind of wait for it to kind of play out, right?
When he was in the natural expansion, I think the initial engagement was pretty good, although he did wait for one more warp in than I thought he would. And then he started running towards the third, right? And they ended up fighting basically in this location that we have on the screen right now. If he would have gone straight for the main base, do you think he would have been able to deal
with the Roach Ron?
Yeah.
The Roach Ron was right there, so had nothing in the natural.
Yeah.
I think those are the plays. I think that's where you kind of play around, and then if he kind of runs up the ramp towards the natural, go deeper in the natural and get ready to surround if he comes up the ramp, right? Because that's a great fight for you. Serral can't take surface area advantage, so. Yeah.
He tried getting a little bit too ambitious right there with his micro, and now he's got to play against Serral, who probably is not too happy with the way that this game has gone overall, but I mean, he managed to hold on, and he finds himself in a good spot right now. Economically, he's feeling solid here, and he's now ready to go for the offensive himself. Maybe this wasn't originally what Creator had planned, but maybe he can still hold on here.
Yep, this Roach Ravager force going to move back from the center, back over to the right-hand side. We've got a 4th hatch going down from Serral in that upper right corner as well. I mean, Creator just slowly trying to get up to 3 bases, a Temple Archives, any kind of tech he can find, but we can kind of just see that Serral's getting very comfortable. Bane speed will start, and he's just in no real rush to kind of go because he knows his position is that good to begin with.
Yeah, no, he knows at this point that the main and the natural are going to be running low on resources for Creator as well, so he plays against the Protoss here, who's just acquired their 3rd base. He's even doing the contamination there with the Overseer, probably the least used skill in all of StarCraft 2, but that means that Serral's cruising, right? Like, he uses it whenever he's got some APM to spare. And at this point, he knows that this 3rd Nexus just finished up, and Protoss really needs to start looking for a 4th base here pretty soon. But how in the world are you going to get that?
Yeah, I mean, good luck.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
If you take a 4th base, the Zerg army's going to crash into you, it's going to get cancelled, and you probably lose your army if you try and defend it. And that's the issue. That's why Serral's so comfortable just playing this out slowly right now, because he knows as time advances, it's only him that's getting in a better position. It's kind of Creator that needs to do something, but also what do you do, right? Like, that's why the opening build is called an all-in, because it's extremely difficult to get out of if you don't do enough, and at the end of the day, didn't do enough.
Ring around to Rosie, around to gas. Well, eventually the Zealot, it's not going to happen. Got to scout a loaded creep though, I guess. But yeah, he's now basically banking on Serral making a mistake. And that is not something we see him do all too often, although in the previous game he did make that error in the earlier stages of the game, and I really didn't like the overextension from Serral in the previous game either, when he did finally go across the map. So there still definitely is a chance, but yeah, whenever you're relying on your opponent to make a mistake, and that's your main win condition, it is not really where you want to be. It's not impossible though. This is still a difficult Zerg army to control. Like if we, for example, see the Banelings crashing into an Archon or two, I mean, there's certainly a chance for Creator to get back into this.
With like excellent storms, I think.
Yeah.
That storm upgrade that's halfway done right now, that is the lifeline that Creator's holding on to. His storms need to be beyond good, and he honestly, I think, needs more storms than he can actually afford, so that's probably going to be a problem.
Is he even going to have it? Is he even going to have it for this fight?
Exactly. If we even get it before Serral attacks, I think Serral is on the verge of just committing, because why the heck not? He's maxed out more or less. He has got most of his upgrades. Some missiles isn't there just yet, but I think he'll at least test the waters here. If nothing else, just force some force fields already. Get these Banes to roll on through. They are going to start connecting with
Storm,
the sentries
done.
and
almost.
the high tempo. Do they have energy though? Enough for Storm?
Two of them may have a little bit of energy here. Yeah, he's going to be able to push some of this back, but there's a huge Roach army on the back of it too. Well, I mean, this is pretty much the best engagement Creator could have hoped for though without Storm.
Yep. No, that's pretty true. It's just going to be Snap Banes coming in from the flank. Well, we can Storm here. The High Templar have had time to build up some energy. A few corrosive vials coming down in the bottom right as well as we just have ourselves this army getting back away. So just going to take a few more moments.
Yeah, Serral dancing here out at the third base of his opponent and just reinforcing this to the best of his abilities. Just to be 100% safe. Oh, we have a Baneling drop in the natural expansion. I think this must be Banelings, no? Yep. Could have been Roaches as well, but that is 9 probes going down, and Creator is not happy about that whatsoever. Just to be super safe, Serral has decided to even get a Hive going here too, so he can get +3, can get Vipers if he needs to. Like, one of the transitions right now for Protoss could be, for example, Disruptors, and that can be a little bit difficult maybe to play against. So Serral just crossing his T's, dotting his I's, making sure that he's 100% safe against whatever it is that the Protoss player can throw at him right now. And yeah, you can see it on the mini-map right now too, right? Creator huddled on the left side of the map, trying his very best to protect the third, whereas Serral is just taking the entire map.
That was so funny. Like, Serral pulled his overload back. He's like, surely you just saw this coming in, you're going to move your probes. And he's like, wait, he didn't move the probes. Then he sent it back in a second time. And then Creator actually did notice it, so then Serral pulled it back yet again. But just a funny moment where Serral was like almost a step ahead of his opponent. It was,
I like how he went in for the drop in a pretty much mined out natural expansion. He's like, yeah, may as well. He's going to try again. This is like that Widow Mine drop that keeps coming back. Do we have Burrow? Okay, Burrow here would have been kind of cute too. Decides to pick up. Now it's Creator who decides to step on creep. So that fight previously went reasonably well for him, but if he decides to fight on creep out in the open, he's going to get surrounded by this Zerg. Still though, Serral is giving him a bit of time, right? I mean, Creator is going to get pretty close to maxed out here once again. Do you think he's ever going to get a fourth going, though? That's the question. If he loses these High Templar, definitely not!
Oh, he finds him with the Banelings in the end. No, I don't think he's ever going to get a fourth going, because if he did, Serral would actually just jump on him. He just says, if you're on 3 bases, I don't need to rush in. He found the High Templar finally with these Banelings, and now there's just not anything scary in this army. The Banes will continue to crash through, clean out the Zealots, let the Roach Ravager deal with everything else.
So one Zealot warp in here versus like 70 Zerglings that were coming up all at the same time. Serral making sure that he wins this series convincingly. But the early game, man, that was really close. I actually believe Creator had all of the tools he needed to win a 2-1 victory over Serral, but he messed up a little bit with the execution. And in the end, it's Serral who wins the first series of Gamers8 2-1.
Yep, Serral gets the job done, maybe a bit more shakily than we expected, because I think a lot of people come into this saying, hey, Serral's looked really good lately. He's been looking really unstoppable, especially in ZVP. Good on Creator, man. Coming out, taking a map, making a very close game 3. That might feel frustrating, but again, you've got to look at that as, hey, look, going into my other games, I feel like I'm in pretty good form. I just pushed Serral to the limit. You got to be pretty happy about these things when you can get them. So, GG, Serral gets that 2-1 victory, and is going to be 1-0. So again, 3-0 or just 3x will put you through to the playoffs. And obviously, any sort of X3 will be, for example, just a elimination from the tournament. So Serral one step closer to those playoffs, as we are going to head on over to the interview.
Whew, Serral, you said that was a little bit of a too exciting game, but I want you to break down this matchup from your perspective, because that was the first time Creator has ever taken a map off you.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that statistic, but I was pretty confident going into this match. and I did feel like he put a really good good fight. The first game I felt like I had a really good start, and I was actually pretty close to dying. I felt like, I don't think I was, but it felt a bit close, but I feel like that game was under my control. The second game he played just really well, got a lot of early game damage and kind of just got it into a win. I think I was pretty close to holding in the end, but just not good enough. And obviously the last game was I should have kind of smelled that, but I was kind of thinking like, what is he doing? He's like in 2 bases, he has 1 Phoenix only. And yeah, I should have made more units a bit faster, but luckily I managed to use the positioning to my advantage and take the win there.
زي ما تشوفون اعزائنا المشاهدين معنا سيرال متواجد معنا بعد المقابله بعد ما فاز الجيم الاول. سالناه عن شعوره لانه هذا اول مره كرييتر ياخذ منه ماب واحد في مباراه قد واجهوا فيها في تاريخ اللاعبين هذولي، لكن كان الجواب يقول انه بصراحه الجيم الاول انا كنت عارف وماخذ الكنترول من البدايه، ما كان الجيم صعب. الجيم الثاني بالمقابل كان لا، انا ما كنت متوقع ابدا انه كرييتر بيسوي رش بهالسرعه وفعلا يقدر ياخذ منه الجيم الثاني، لكن في الجيم الثالث بنفس الوقت يعني كنت مستغرب انه من التصرفات اللي هو يسويها، حتى مستغرب انه جايب 1 فينيكس بس، مستغرب انه مسوي اشياء كثيره كان مو من عادته. كان مفروض اني انا قدرت اني اخلص الجيم بشكل اسرع، بس قدرت اني افوز بالنهايه.
Coming into this event, we're going into a Swiss format. You're going to be facing players several times. Tell me a little bit about what you're thinking going up against the pool of players and how you're going to be holding on to your strategies.
Well, there's always a little bit of holding strategies, but for the most part, every player is so good here that you can't be holding back too much. And yeah, I mean, I'll be just waiting to see who I play next and do a little preparation for him. I do have prepared for most players already, a little bit at least, so I'm pretty confident going into the next match.
زي ما تشوفون سيرال في سؤاله الثاني سالناه انه بما ان احنا عندنا السويس فورمات والشيء هذا بيعطيه فرصه انه يبي يلعب مباريات جدا كثيره ضد لاعبين، وبنفس الوقت المباريات هذه ممكن لازم انه ما يطلع الاستراتيجيز حقته. فكان السؤال كيف تبي تقدر انك تتعامل مع الموقف هذا؟ الجواب كان يقول انه لا، صراحه انه كل اللاعبين الموجودين يعتبرون الافضل في العالم، انا مجهز ضد الكل، وبنفس الوقت انا ما اقدر اني امسك الاستراتيجيات حقاتي كثير، لكن بحاول اسوي افضل ما عندي.
Well, thank you, Serral, for your insights, and thank you both for an incredible game to start us off here in Riyadh. But let's send it back to the desk and take another look at it.
زي ما تشوفون انتهينا من الجيم الاول اعزائنا المشاهدين وجاهزين نروح للجيم الثاني على طول، فخلونا نروح على الاستوديو.
Thank you very much, Rachel and Fancy here. Yes, a bit of a closer call for Serral compared to what we may have anticipated coming into this one, but he still gets the victory anyway here for the first series here at Gamers8. Joining me, Pig, as well as ZG, to talk about this one. And ZG, it was a bit closer than we did anticipate, I think.
Yeah, 100%, considering the history between the two and the history of Serral's matchup here in ZVP. Like, it's much, much closer. I think we were all actually prepared to give Creator the credit of the win, you know, winning Game 2. And then Game 3 was actually, I would say, supposed to be his. Serral did once again do that thing that I said in the pre-show, however, which is that it looks like Creator finally bamboozled him.
Yeah.
And then just never mind.
No. As we take a look at the highlights coming in here for this, as we are in the post-game brought to you by STC Play, and looking at Game 1 and how things were going, it looked like usual Serral in game number 1, Pig, but then the next 2 games looked a bit more dicey.
No, and this was a really nice, like this kind of late game 4 Colossus timing from Creator. Really quick 4th bases in game 1 and game 2. I think it was a perfect time to push. He did a really good job of just capitalizing, and once Protoss gets such a big army, it's so scary. On the other hand, game 3, I mean, this was crazy. As Zombie Grub was saying, we thought he was done. He had maybe 5 roaches out. There was 12 zealots incoming. But his ability to pull back into the mineral line, to hold position, roaches popping out, hiding in between the gaps in the minerals. I mean, Serral's just a master of surviving those attacks even when they surprise him.
Definitely so. ZG, final thoughts?
Best defense. Like, it's a bit early on in the tournament, but that was one of the best defense that you could ever ask. The totally, like, unprompted, or the non-prompted, the unseen attack, and one of the biggest all-ins that StarCraft 2 has in the matchup, and then to actually still roll out of it, it's definitely commendable. I guess the only thing I would say is kind of like a caveat is that that's one of the reasons perhaps why it stopped being a thing.
Right,
The 2-base charge at all-in can be held as soon as you realize that it's happening and you're able to pack units together. So it did take Serral a bit almost too long to realize, so it can still work apparently, but yeah, there's a reason it's a very rare build right now.
Yeah, there were some question marks for Serral, definitely. He's got the spore crawlers going on, positioning his queens here, there, and everywhere, sees the warp prism, but it could be a multitude of things, and then that's how it goes down. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. It is time to go to a break. When we return, we have more coming at you from Gamers8. Our next matchup on the main stage is going to be Maru going up against Showtime. Don't miss it.